It's another episode of Wearable Today, episode 95, introducing the start menu. My name is Jeffrey Powers. We got Luke Wallace here, and of course, we are going to be talking about Wearable Tech today, and Wearable Today. And of course, our main focus today is going to be talking about politics, and actually wearable tech for politics. And Luke's got his views, I got my views, and of course, you probably got your views because it's politics, and that's how that works. We're also going to talk about lots of medical stuff, ECG stuff. We're going to talk about HP and their wearable market. We're going to talk about doing an interview over VR and a whole bunch more. This is episode number 95 of Wearable Today. And it's brought to you by friends over at CashFly. Go over to CACHEFLY.com for more information. And of course, we're a proud member of the Maker Max community at max.maker.com. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine, Think Magazine, Put in a Geek. You've got me, Geekazine, that's me right there. And as always, my cohorts in crime, two of them, one's green, and the other one could be gold. It could be in black suit. It depends on when you're asking them. So Luke Wallace and Bertie.
Hey everybody. Bertie thinks that's pretty funny. So you can find me on Twitter, Luke Luca. Think Luca, put in a Luke. Or you can find me on Google+, google.com/plus Luke Wallace. Or you can always find me over at biglettershirt.com. You can use coupon code WEARTECH for 10% off.
Okay, well, yeah, that's all good stuff. So, and of course, the yellow shoes behind. No, it's not the Wiz. We're going to be talking about that later. But first of all, we got to get to some news in a segment we call Big News, Little R's. I like how you did that. Make sure that Bertie doesn't go after the cup.
Yeah, exactly. I have to be careful. So, if you've been to a hospital for anything serious recently, you've probably had wires hooked up to your chest to check your heart rate. Mm-hmm. This is called an ECG and can be an awkward experience for people. The wires usually run to a machine that's next to the bed, so if you need to go to the bathroom or otherwise move around very much, it can be quite an ordeal. Now, HealthWatch has come up with a solution with a tight-fitting shirt that has the appropriate technology embedded into it. And the monitoring device attaches to the shirt as well, so it makes the monitoring completely constant, no interruptions from any of those little breaks that you have to take. This opens up a lot of possibilities, not only for in the hospital, but even at home monitoring. They could leave it with you or have you wear it certain times of the day. And if you're doing this at home, then that means it could be freeing up hospital beds and hopefully lowering some healthcare costs.
All right. And of course, you know, when I was in the hospital a few months ago, I had those little connectors all over me, and I didn't want to rip them off. So a shirt would have been nice. Just pop off the shirt, go to the bathroom, come on, put the shirt back on. So I like that a lot. So, all right.
Me too.
Me three. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's move on. The educational aspects of wearable technology are just getting started. It's a new video from my friend Paolo Talsolini. He introduced Nikki Kalepel, and she provides some 360-degree coaching. Basically, where you're sitting in the middle of a job interview, you can watch all of the participants. Although the content is pretty short, it's easy to imagine having this kind of immersive education for all sorts of topics. And you can watch it on your Google Glass, you can watch it on your cardboard, you can watch it on your Oculus, you can watch it on YouTube, and you just hit the button, and you can turn from one camera to the other camera and have yourself, a virtual conference or interview like this video has right there. And of course, we'll have the link in the show notes if you want to take a look at the virtual interview from there.
Up next, the New York Times has a pretty bold article on the future of wearables, saying that right now, most of the wearables you see will end up in your junk drawer. Mm-hmm. This guy's personal experience with a Fitbit, a Jawbone Up, and an Apple Watch has turned into an indictment of the entire industry, but with some numbers to back it up. Most sales numbers have not met expectations, and the industry has not grown as fast as it was predicted it would a couple of years ago. You can read the full article, which has a few reasons why he feels like the industry has had slow adoption, over on the New York Times website.
There you go. I'm assuming because I'm looking at my table and I have a few wearables. I know I have a couple wearables over there at the other desk. You must have some wearables in your junk drawer that some stuff you don't even call wearables.
Oh yeah, I mean technology it gets outdated so fast that invariably some of it ends up, out of your mainstream usage.
Yeah.
And then once you don't use it for a week or two, all of a sudden you kind of forget about it, and it's easy to just kind of ignore it if you're not really seeing the value in it. So yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, I was just telling before we started the show. I was telling Luke that on Thursday, Friday, I started purging the studio, getting rid of some of the boxes of all the stuff that I've been reviewing these last few years to kind of clean out some room and make room for other stuff. And I've pulled out. I can't tell you how much stuff I've pulled out that I completely forgot that I had, and some of it was wearable related, even though it was stuff that it wasn't wearable technology at that time. So pretty interesting stuff there, and we'll see what our junk drawers are going to look like in about 5 years, 2 years for that matter, and go from there. So, all right. Speaking of wearables, because that's what this show is about. The luxury smartwatch family is getting another member. This one comes from Isaac Mizari in the form of Swarovski. How do you say that? Swarovski? Yeah, Swarovski crystal-studded watch for women that works in both iOS and for the Android operating system. Engineered by HP, the device has a 3-line display that appears within a traditional watch face and allows users to send and receive text messages and receive all standard notifications. The device will launch this week for only $249, so that's pretty reasonable for something that's considered a more designer watch face. But it's also made by HP, which means that they want consumers to consume it instead of high end $5,000 gold crusted, diamond plated, and pearl inlay watch or something like that.
Yeah, I think it looks nice. I don't know if it's exactly the right market, but it looks like it'd be a nice looking watch, even if you didn't use the smartwatch aspects of it. So maybe it wouldn't end up in the junk drawer because you're like, I don't use the smartwatch parts of it, but it was a pretty nice watch for $249, which is not crazy.
Watches like that, I expect to end up if people have them in their watch box. Because apparently there's such a thing. I learned about it last week of a watch box, which is a box which has all your watches. Now, they could be nicely uniform in like some sort of plush velvet or something like that, or they could just be thrown into the box, which is probably what I would do, is throw it right in the box. But that's how that works. And so as opposed to something like this misfit right here, which I would probably throw it in a regular box or something like that, or I don't know. But I don't consider that as a watch.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. And finally, of course, at CES, I met the folks at Blocks. Speaking of smartwatches, we talked about Blocks a few weeks ago, and their Kickstarter campaign has been successful, or Indiegogo, I can't remember which one it was. It's a modular smartwatch, which the band becomes pieces to the smartwatch. You could add GPS to your watch simply by adding a link to the band, or changing it out for a battery, or changing it out for Wi-Fi, or changing it out for an extra sensor or an accelerometer or whatever. So this was a very interesting interview with them over at Geekazine. Of course, I also interviewed and I have videos up for the Fitbit Blaze, H2O Pal, for those of you who want to drink more water, and QuitBit for those of you smokers out there that want to quit smoking. Some pretty cool videos. Have you watched any of the videos yet, or?
I have not.
Okay. I see how it works.
I've seen you posting them. I watched some video you did recently from CES, but it wasn't this Blocks one.
Okay.
I think it's been too new. We don't actually have great internet at work, and so I try to.
What?
There's a lot of YouTube videos that are kind of slow, and so.
Oh, okay.
It fluctuates. I shouldn't say that it's bad. It's just it kind of fluctuates, and so I don't watch a lot of stuff at work.
Since you guys live in the space, I would figure your bandwidth is pretty good.
We're actually looking at getting an upgrade soon.
Okay.
Looking into some different options. At least that's what they tell me.
Yeah.
So hopefully we get something. They're supposed to be upgrading to fiber. They're looking into upgrading into fiber. I don't know if they're actually
Oh, well, Dallas, you don't have Google Fiber yet. I know Austin has Google Fiber.
We do not have Google Fiber. I have Verizon FiOS.
Oh, okay.
At my house here, so
that's good. I have Charter here, and which is decent. 60 down, 4 up. I wish the upload would be better, but we can hook up from there and go from there. So, but you have to watch the videos. That's what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, that's I think what we're getting at. Yeah, I try to make it a point to go through and watch as many of those as I can.
All right, perfect. All right, well, that does it for this segment we call Big News. Little Luke. Little Luke, I like that.
A little quiet, a little quieter.
So, anything happening with you during this last week? What's going on? How's I see you have some new shoes on the back, a wall, and they're not from the Wiz.
No, they're not from the Wiz. Those are just some of my C3PO shoes. Working on that. If you're watching the video, you can see them.
It's a drawer. Okay,
here.
that's the shoes. Yeah,
on top of the Darth Vader. Trying to figure out what I'm going to do next on that. Cobbling together pieces, trying to source some parts on that. So coming together pretty well. On the Star Wars front, we actually worked the Mavs game this weekend. That was a lot of fun. There were like 20, 25 of us out there in costume.
We got
some really big group.
We got some video on that.
Oh, do you? Oh, that's not it. Oh no.
It's all I got. It's all I got. I'll get some more video. Get some more video. But
yeah,
I did see some. Go ahead.
You were talking about cleaning stuff out.
Yeah, and
so I wanted to show some wearable stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely
cleaning out of the junk drawer.
Go for it.
So before I had the Moto 360, which
long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago. Before Google Glass, there was this device called the iPod Nano. You might say, oh, they have those now. Like, yes, they do, but they do not have the little square iPod Nanos. They used to make them in about 3 inches square, 2.5 inches square. They're pretty small.
Okay.
And a lot of people said that would be cool to wear on your wrist. And some other people said, I bet I can make a watch band for that, for those people that think it'd be cool to wear on the wrist. And so
I remember the first ones that came out. That was pretty wild to see those bands, turning an iPod Nano into a watch and people going,
and I used it for a year or two, like that, because I had an iPod Nano, and then I got some watch bands, and so I've got a couple of those watch bands. I still use the iPod Nano, but if you've got an old iPod Nano, one of the square ones, I've actually got some wrist straps for it here. So there's one that's just kind of a black leather from Hex. I've got another kind of brown leather one from Hex, and then I've got this nice, or I don't know if that one's actually from Hex. It's from iWatch.
Okay.
iWatchZ.com, which I haven't even checked their website. And then we've got another one from Hex that's real nice. That's actually a gunmetal, link watch, with the metal links.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So those are nice. And basically, I don't see any reason why I would be using these things in the foreseeable future, just because got a Moto 360, and it wasn't a smartwatch, but it was a great fitness tracker and music player.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants those, you should tweet me or leave a comment in the YouTube video, for the YouTube video for this show.
Yeah. Or any
if you'd use it.
Yeah, definitely. So it's safe to say that at one time you had an Apple Watch.
I did. I had an Apple Watch before they were cool.
Before they were Apple Watches.
Yeah, before they were Apple Watches.
Being cool is a different story, but they were Apple Watches.
It was a little square Apple device that you wore on your wrist, and it was really useful. I listened to a lot of music on it. I used it for fitness tracking, all the step counting and stuff.
Okay.
It syncs with Nike Plus.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
And you still have the Nano, right? That's what
I still have the Nano. I still use it in my car just to listen to stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm finding that's the best thing for planes. And I showed this a couple weeks ago. So when you go to the Sony booth, they give you actual Sony Walkman, which is basically a headset kind of like this Jabra, except it's not a Bluetooth type headset. And it's got 4 gigabytes of storage in there. Got to make sure I say storage over RAM, because people have been dinging me on the fact that I say RAM. And I mean storage and vice versa. But the whole point is, has 4 gigabytes of storage, so that stores a few thousand songs. So I've been using that on the plane rather than hooking up to my phone, because then I can turn my phone off and I'll have a good battery when I land or wherever I go. So I could see that with the Nano as well. You could load that puppy up with tons of songs, and then get on a plane, get on a train, get on a car or whatever, and then your phone's still going to be have a good battery to it.
Oh yeah, I use that thing. When I travel, I use it too, because it's very efficient on battery, much better than a phone, just because it doesn't need all the radios on and everything.
Which one does Birdie like?
What the wrist straps of the watch bands? I don't know. What does she think? That one's okay. She's like, oh, that's okay. She's like, no, that one's not. Like, don't. She's like, no, she really doesn't like this one.
Okay.
What about this one, Birdie?
Ooh, gunmetal.
She's like, oh, that's
interesting.
That's kind of nice. She's like, ooh.
I don't know where to bite that.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know. So I don't know. She's pretty evenly split. This one she definitely doesn't like.
Okay. Well, you get her with the gunmetal watch on and the C3PO shoes on, and she'll be styling and profiled, and that's for sure.
Oh yeah. These go great with anything.
All right. Well, for me, like I said, I was doing some cleaning, some spring cleaning before our snowpocalypse happens, and it's turning into a snow wah. From what I understand, because last week they said, 15 inches, we're going to have 15 inches of snow. And then yesterday I was like, or 2 days ago, I was like, oh, it's going to be 10 to 12 inches. It's yeah. And then now it's like 2 to 4. Yeah. It's like, okay, I can handle that. So, but anyway, so I'm doing some spring cleaning, purging. I need to clean up the studio, because you see only this much of the studio, but there's a lot more of the studio, and we give you what you want to see, but you don't want to see the rest. The whole point is that I was doing some cleaning and found some cool technology that I just kind of forgot about. And last week I had the piece of hardware that I couldn't find. Well, I found it, and then I found the other one I had of it, which was sitting in with all the other storage stuff. So a little bit of cleaning there. It was pretty cool. The other thing that happened to me, here it is. I actually got it this morning, and it's running right now. The friends over at Netgear. At CES, they showed off the Nighthawk X4S, and it's AC 802.11.AC 811. I can you know what I'm talking about. It's the AC model. It's got dual core processor in there at 1.7 gigahertz, and they gave me 2 of them. And the idea that giving me 2 is, because I'm going to be running some speed tests. You can hook up USB 3.0 into this router. You can hook up eSATA in this router. So I have a Drobo, which takes eSATA and USB 3.0. So I'll be hooking that up to my Drobo, and I won't direct hook it up to my computer anymore. And I'll be transferring files that way. I already have a couple drives hooked up to the router, and it's already made my life pretty easy. And the coolest thing is this router looks like something you'd get from Batman. So
I like stuff that looks kind of like it's from Batman.
Do you get it? Do you have a cool router?
It's nice, but it's not it's not particularly cool looking.
Yeah.
It's pretty standard. I have wondered about the storage drive. Did you say it has 2 USB ports on it?
2 USB 3.0 ports. Yeah, and one eSATA port.
That's actually pretty amazing. And how big of a drive can that handle then? Like terabyte? Like,
That's a good question. Well, I'm guessing whatever is, because I'm running a portable drive. This is Western Digital 2 terabyte backup drive is hooked up to it right now, and I could see, I open it up through the through the Netgear settings, and there it is, and I could protect it. I could actually set it up so I could have files, and if I'm off in Vegas and I need to access those files, I can do that. And of course I'm going to have that all set up. I just don't have it set up just yet. I just got the router. Give me some time. Jeez. So
yeah, no, that's really great. Having a NAS system basically where all you have to do is plug it into the router. That's great. And then having it remotely accessible, securely, is really nice too. Because then you can, copy things back home, pull things off if you need to. You can keep all copies of sensitive documents and then just access them from anywhere if you need to.
Yeah, and I've had that before. I had a what's the name of that company?
IBM
Pogo Plug. Years ago, back in the early CES days, there was this company called Pogo Plug. They're still around, but they had these little devices where you took USB drives, mostly flash drives, and you plugged them. They had 4 ports, and you plugged them all in there, and then they'd act as a server. So you could, if you when I was in Vegas and I needed to pull something or put something on the home server, boom, I would do it that way. So this one gives me a little bit faster pipe, and it gives me an opportunity to put more storage on there. So it's so far so good. We'll see how that's working and go from there. So
pretty nice. Yeah, pretty nice.
So, and thanks, by the way, thanks to Netgear. Of course, this is so far so good. But even though they supplied me with the product, the opinions are my own. So if they do bad, I'm going to scold them. But so far so good. I'm really happy on it. All right. Let us pay some bills here. First of all, if you want to be social with us, you can go to Wearable Today, Twitter.com, Wearable Today, Facebook.com, Wearable Today. YouTube.com is This Week in Glass. Can't change that, unfortunately. So that's where you go for all of those cool places. And then, of course, Bandwidth is brought to you by friends over at CacheFly, CACHEFLY.com. Go over there, check it out. They got 14-day free trial. You get 1 terabyte worth of transfer for free. Put on your podcast, put on your videocast, put your game stuff there. It's a great CDN to whatever you need. If you're creating an app or if you're creating whatever you're creating, you can put it on there. And of course, they got some great rates. Check it out over at CacheFly, CACHEFLY.com. Tell them Geekazine sent you, or I sent you, and they'll go, who? And they'll go, and then they'll go, okay. And then, of course, over at WearTech, wearabletoday.com/deals, you can go over there and check out all the cool deals, like, for instance, the Dubs acoustic filters. These are all refurbs, or maybe they got returned for some reason because maybe they wanted an Apple Watch and they ended up getting a Samsung Gear Fit or something like that. And so there's nothing wrong with them. They're just at a nice discount price. So you can get that over at wearabletoday.com/deals. And then, hey, if you want to tip us, leave a tip. Go over to paypal.me/Jeff Powers, paypal.me/Jeff Powers, and go from there. And then, of course, with Luke, there is
biglettershirt.com, 10% off using coupon code WearTech.
And then you can get a shirt.
Yeah, you can get a shirt. That's anything on the site, including that's on top of any discounted items that are on there.
Okay, cool. So we got to figure out what we're going to do for a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I want to get a shirt. What type of cotton do you have in those shirts?
Ooh, it's a 50-50 cotton poly blend. It's real nice, very comfortable.
Does it shrink in the wash?
No,
okay.
No.
Right.
I've had one that I've worn and washed like 20, 25 times. It holds up very well.
All right. Okay, cool. Well, I guess we'll get one then. Or 2. 1 or
Yeah.
2. So
Yeah.
cool. All right, well, let's move on then. Let's go over to our segment we call Around the Medical Front. No beeps?
No, I thought you didn't like the beeps. Now you're missing the beeps.
No, I miss the beeps.
Beep, beep.
What do you say?
Beep, beep. Beep, beep.
Like a surgeon. Ooh, touch for the very first. Anyway.
Beep, beep.
Yeah, that one died. Are wearable tattoos here? Well, kind of. It's not really a tattoo. It's called the MC10, and they're working on reshaping healthcare with the introduction of the BioStamp Connect system. BioStamp Connect system. Well, you're not going to a parlor finding some tramp stamp to put on your back and laying on a table to have it put on. The BioStamp patch will create a tight skin coupling. You can have multiple. Oops, sorry, wrong one. You can have multiple patches on your body. Yeah, I'm trying to do 7 things at once. You're just sitting there. I'm working. So, anyway, you can have multiple patches on your body. These devices offer 3-axis accelerometer, 3-axis gyroscope, integrated electrodes, what's called an SEMG, which I believe was surface EMG, electromyograph, and electrocardio activity and other sensor information. And the best part, like I said, is you can put it on different parts of your body. So it's similar to that shirt that we talked about at the beginning, but it's this apparently, since this is closer to the skin and can stay there, it can tell a lot more. Like, you've worn it too long on that one spot of the skin, your skin's starting to deteriorate, and maybe you should move it somewhere else, and go from there. So, and of course, just like with what we talked about with that shirt, these are sensors that they don't get in the way. There's no wires coming from you, so if you need to get up and go to the bathroom, you can do that, or you could do whatever you need to do, and then you come home and you can download all that information onto your computer and find out if you're alive, because you got to do that sometimes. So
that's how I do it.
Yeah,
check the internet.
So thoughts?
It's really interesting how it does that. I'd be curious to know more about how the how technically how it works. It says that it goes on very very securely.
Yeah.
Changes color, depends on depending on how long it's been exposed to light. Really interesting that it's considered more of a permanent type wearable. I'm not sure exactly how it'll recharge, if it'll need to or anything.
Oh, I think it does have a battery in it.
Oh, I
some
see.
Sort. Yeah, and of course the battery, then ends up dying, and you just, I don't think you replace it by any means. It's
totally the whole thing.
Yeah, it's totally disposable at that point. So, and if it doesn't need that much battery to run, then there it could be a small watch battery or something even more biodegradable, because they're working on those nowadays. So the one thing that bothers me is that they say it's a tattoo, and it's not really a tattoo. And that's, so, you did the clickbait, that worked there. But the sensor, the BioStamp sensor, is really cool. And I could see that being used in so many different aspects, especially, I don't know if people know this, but my first job before I became a Windows 95 support tech all those years ago, my first tech job was actually to test biomedical equipment. So I was testing EMG, EEG, ECG. I was hooking that stuff up to me to test, which was really cool. And I got to play with some really cool machines. But it's fun to see that. And I actually saw I went to my doctor this morning, and they showed me my EEG, and it's like, oh, this is really cool to see. So I geek out on stuff like that. And I know other people geek out on stuff like that. But getting more information from your vitals, especially if, like myself, where I had an event 6 months ago and I'm getting better from it, to have as much data as possible so I can go on the right path to healthy recovery. I think that's the key right there.
So if they offered you one of these tomorrow to wear, so that you could just wear it for 24, 36 hours to just monitor your vitals, or at least those vitals, would you do it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, not even a question. I'd
Right.
put it on where it, I'd probably shave off a patch of my chest first.
Just so that it'd make removing it easier.
Well, not only that, but also that would also be a problem because it's supposed to be on for a couple days, and even if you shave off, if you've got locks of golden hair on your chest like I do, then even shaving it after a few days, the stubble starts pushing through, and that'll start detaching it from the skin. So you'll want to put it on places where you don't have that type of skin growth, or maybe wax your chest or something like that, because then they'll take longer to grow
Yeah,
back.
maybe. That's interesting.
That I wax my
and
chest, or
let's move on. So it says it has a gyroscope, an accelerometer in it as well.
yeah,
So I wonder if you could combine that to figure out when someone's like laying down, right? You could maybe tell when they're laying down, so you could tell kind of when they're asleep.
Yeah.
So then you could tell, oh, we're monitoring this. Not only was it, 2 a.m., but oh, it looks like they took a nap in the afternoon and laid down, or they were at least relaxed on the couch or something for a couple of hours, and you could monitor that and correlate all the data. It'd be interesting to see, because all the vitals. I just imagine like there's this adjustment factor that they probably have to do for vitals
yeah,
that are taken in a hospital when they know someone is like conscious and awake, of like, yeah, your blood pressure is probably going to be a little bit higher than it actually would be, and your pulse rate might be a little higher than it actually would be if you were just sitting at home, because you're at the hospital, you're kind of nervous about everything, you're not comfortable. And so it'd be neat to be able to put something like this on someone and say, now you go home and you just relax for a couple of days and then come back, because then you get much more accurate
exactly.
readings.
Exactly, and of course it could do a lot more than just that. I mean, since I had back issues the last few months, I could find out how many times I've been lying on my back, how many times I've been sitting in a chair, how many times I've been up and active. And not only can I see it, but Jennifer could see it. Not only could Jennifer see it, but my doctor could see it. And then my doctor could be calling me up and say, "Hey Jeff, you need to move." It's like, but I don't want to. My back hurts.
Yeah.
Go move. And you know how that works. So, but the whole point is that it's shareable data, and yeah, I would do it. I did it. Like I said, I tested this equipment. There's some test patterns out there that probably have my EEG and EMG and EKG and all the other G's. I don't mind if you know what my vitals are at night. Now it's not life or death for me or other people. Yeah, I guess it would be life or death for me. So
Yeah, a little bit.
So, all right. Well, anyway, any other thoughts on the wearable tattoo?
Nope.
All right.
Sounds good.
Let's move on. I think. There we go. Was it? Nope. What's going on here? There we go. Hold on a second. All right, we got a brand new segment, and I don't have an intro for it just yet. We call it Tweaks. And basically, this is Tweaks. This is basically little tweaks that you could do to make your wearable life a little bit easier or whatnot. This week comes from our friends over at Instructables. If you don't like your standard cable for your Android or iPhone, because you try and wrap that thing and it always put in your bag and always just kind of unravels and everything like that. Even cables for your wearables. Then Instructables has a great way for you to help curtail the cord noise. Did you know that you can curl your own cables with nothing but a pencil and a hairdryer? MacGyver tip right there. So anyway, the video right here on this, not on this page because this is a cache page, but the video on this website, which we'll have the link in the show notes, will tell you how to turn a cord. And actually, not only can you curl the cable, but here's a tip that they didn't say there. You can uncurl a cable just as easily with this same tip. So, yeah, it's just a great little idea for your life if you want to, because I don't care too much for curly cables when they're at home, but when I'm on travel, those things are great. And so I wouldn't mind having one of those on travel, and then just a straight cable, because they just straight cables just sit like on my desk, like right there, plugged in and ready for the charge when needed. So.
Yeah, I like it. Like I'm finding myself more and more fond of short cables, and so this is kind of a way with those curls to shorten a cable.
Exactly.
That maybe is a little too long, but it has some spring to it. So yeah, it'd be nice to, if somebody took a few of those, they could make their own YouTube video of how to coil it, and they could show you, now if you've got a 6-foot cable, that turns into a, is that a 1-foot cable or a 2-foot cable? Like, how does it adjust? So,
and it's still
YouTube idea.
It's still a 6-foot cable. It's just curled.
Technically, but it's not as it doesn't, you don't have to find 6 feet for it to kind of weave around on.
Exactly.
But it's, more flexible than a 1-foot cable that's as long as it can be. So you can have kind of a 1-foot cable that kind of stretches out.
Yeah. One other thing that it didn't say on the video, and one thing I always tell people is when you're bending cables, you're bending the copper wires in the cables. Mm-hmm. There's always a chance that, you could break it, but these are supposed to be very flexible. They're always meant to be flexible that way. So just be, don't go pulling really hard and trying to tighten it to get the best curl out of it. Do your best at making it happen. But let it, don't overforce it, or else you might find yourself with a bad cable.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta be careful, but you might find the right cable.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, that does it for the tweaks section. Let's move into our main focus. And today we're going to be talking about wearables in the political race. And of course, the Iowa Caucus is happening right now. And I said caucus. I was able to say caucus. It was kind of interesting that I could say caucus, but I've said caucus now 6 times, and I haven't stumbled on caucus. So let's talk about that. So VR, we talked about VR last week, and we know that VR is a great way for you to watch things such as the Iowa Caucus from home and feel like you're actually at the event. But that might not be the only way that we can enjoy the front runners in the politics in new, exciting ways where wearable technology can be involved. Now, imagine this. You have a front row monitor and that'd be your monitor, your computer monitor, to all the sensors attached to the candidates. Whichever candidate you want to look at. You want to look at Trump, you want to look at Rubio, you want to look at Clinton, you want to look at Bernie Sanders. From heart rate to perspiration levels, you will know when somebody's uncomfortable with a question. You'll know when they're getting angry. They might start to war between another. When Jeb Bush and Donald Trump decide to go back and forth. You'll know when that's about to happen. You'll start to see something, especially if there's a question that they just got to back up and say, well, we've got a group of people working on that. And then you kind of go, nah, I think that's a lie. Because a lot of people, they can tell by facial expressions. And after something like like a debate, they have a panel of people that look at facial expressions to see if that person has kind of given you an idea. But you can already say, I looked at the wearable technology, the wearable data right there, and I know that candidate number 1 was lying, and the other one was a little bit hesitant on this, and the third one was like really, really, really questionable, sweating all the time and everything like that. So. And it brings a new level of politics, the wearable level. Now, think of it this way. You have, most of us don't remember. I know I don't remember it because I wasn't alive at the time. But a lot of people said that JFK won the debate over Richard Nixon because of the fact that Richard Nixon perspired on the camera, and people didn't see the confidence. That changed politics at that point. And now wearables can do the same thing when it comes to politics. And I'm calling it the political wearable level. Now, people monitor, they can be monitoring, and they can give out this data publicly, or they give it to their top aides to make them more confident, better, or whatever. So they know that they're in the best of health, because you never know. Somebody's signing a bill, somebody's making a vote, but they might, be having heart palpitations. They might be, they might not be on their A game at that point. So these aides can step in and they can say, hey, look, maybe you should take a step back and let's review this on another day when your vitals are a little bit better, because, you don't want to make a bad decision simply because of the fact that you're not there health-wise. And, that's important when we're making decisions for our city, for our state, and for our country. Any major change in their EEG or whatnot, with things like the tattoo that we talked about, and their staff can advise if they're in a frame of mind to actually do something. Now, we could see how a presidential campaign can stress out a person. I mean, we've seen pictures, of Obama at the beginning of the campaign and Obama now, and then Bill Clinton before and after, George Bush before and after, so on and so forth. And of course, outside the United States, I apologize because I don't know any political figures outside the United States, but it doesn't matter what government, what government you're at. It's all about who's running the office and how, if they're at 100% capacity doing that. But we could see how a presidential campaign can stress out a person. We could see or find out if Donald Trump is actually sleep deprived, or if he can actually run on a couple hours of sleep like he says that he does. We could even get body readings from Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders to figure out who's confident and who's hiding something. Earlier last year, President Obama was on an interview and he had a Fitbit surge on. Data that I'm sure he shares with Michelle, and he probably shares with his doctor there. But of course, it's got to be a little bit more privatized. And because, the President of the United States, he's got a BlackBerry because it's got the security levels in there. I'm guessing the Fitbit also has those security levels in there as well. And this would be a great feel-good social moment for anybody running for office. Think about this. You're running for office, maybe governor or council or whatever, and you say, here's my health kit vitals. Here's what comes from my Apple Watch. This comes from my Samsung device. So it comes from my Misfit. You analyze the data and let me know, am I doing a good job? Am I healthy to do a good job? And you'll be surprised how many people will stay within the campaign following you, because they get to follow your data rather than follow the issues or follow you. So I pose that out there to at least one politician. Doesn't matter what you're running for, if you're running for mayor, governor, president of the United States. I publicly issue this challenge to post your data and let people analyze it and make sure you're the most fit at that time to become whatever office you're going for. So,
yeah,
that's what I have to. Luke, counter on that, or point on that, or whatever.
So yeah, all great points. I think that monitoring what our politicians are doing, our representatives. I mean, that's the idea, right? They represent us, so we should know what they're doing, how they're feeling. Like you said, make sure they're on their A game as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So do you want me to go into kind of my thoughts on this?
Oh yeah, that was the idea. Yeah.
Okay. So I think
don't hold back. Don't go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you had some great points, I think, on how we can be kind of receiving data from our politicians and from our political system. I'm going to think more about it on the giving data to our political system and to our politicians through wearables.
Okay.
Yes, Birdie, and Birdie's gonna take off of it here.
Birdie doesn't like the politics, so
she always likes to stay out of politics.
Yeah.
So
yeah, mostly I do too. But this is a pretty cool. I would come into politics. We're not
getting into specific candidates. These apply to all candidates, all political parties. We're not exactly. We're not being biased here. I think on any of them. So you said we could use VR 360 video to watch our candidates. I think it'd be great also to use that same kind of technology for them to actually see us. So there's often times that they have city council meetings, things like that, different planning sessions and just open forums for the public. And what I've seen them, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just on some random, Tuesday night, let's say, or maybe it's a Monday night. And I'm like, well, I kind of have something going on Monday nights. I'm doing this Wearables podcast, and I think about it, but sometimes it's just inconvenient, or maybe there's people that can't get out of their house. What if we use that same wearable technology to let the people that were there see, the people at home? More than just simple video conferencing, but try to make it more immersive, so they're not just watching a video. They're more experiencing this person who's at home and has just as valid political views as anybody else in the room. I also think that we could be using data to show our, to help back up the requests that we make of our politicians. So one example I quickly thought of was, well, could we look up the activity of the neighborhoods, by their fitness level, and take kind of an average, and then you could see, are the areas where we're putting our trails and bike paths and sidewalks and all of that, do those correlate to the people that are actually trying to, exercise more and get out and, they use their Fitbits and and so maybe we're not building things in the right place, or maybe there are areas that it's like people aren't as active there. And we look and we say, oh, well, they don't have as many sidewalks and places to actually walk to from their own house. And they're probably not going to get in a car and drive across town just so they can walk around outside. So maybe that's how we should be, influencing our politicians, by using the data from a bunch of our wearables, either proactively, or they could, they could be looking and monitoring that data of their local constituency. Same thing goes with air quality or anything else. Perhaps wearables could be given out, or you could even buy a wearable, perhaps from an organization. I'm thinking here of maybe there's certain environmental agencies that could be using wearables and say, hey, we'd love for you to take this wearable and it will help track air quality. And that way we can be tracking it in your area and rolling that up to your politicians to help provide them, again, data that they can use to make decisions. So they're not just saying, well, I don't know, I get a lot of calls from these people, but I don't know if that's actually a problem, or, I don't know what's going on. So why not use the data that we've got and send it to our politicians to support our viewpoints. Another thing I was thinking about is wearables can make us so much more connected. I get, dozens of notifications throughout the day on my watch. There's one sitting there on the bottom that you can kind of see in the video. What if I was president, and I am running in 2020, I just got to figure out how to apply for that. But so vote for Luke in 2020.
Okay.
But between now and then, what I'm hoping to have implemented is, I'd love just some surveys for constituents to be able to respond very quickly. Imagine if you could, voluntarily opt in and say, yeah, I'd love to be able to be connected more to my local city representatives and stuff. And they could send out quick surveys of, hey, if you just had to pick between more bike trails or more public pools, which would you prefer? And then you could just get, people could just vote on their wearable or from their smartphone, and just make it really quick of like, actually, I don't go swimming a whole lot, but I would love to do bike trails. And they could just send out quick surveys like that. And again, get information from the public that would help them make better decisions of the best way to serve people. And, that's a really simple example, but they could do other things too, as far as, different, do you want to have more activities at the senior center or at the kids center? Like where would you, where do you spend more of your time, and things like that. And they could just be asking people and getting that data from people so that they have more influence and more input into the political process.
That's interesting. Lots of great points there. It actually made me think of one thing that we could add to that, and that is how we vote in any type of election. Instead of us going to a poll, you could have at a certain time, you put on a VR headset. You'd be able to prove yourself in a couple different ways. One, having your smartphone handy, because you'd be surprised in the next couple of years what you will have your smartphone do. And I'll give you a good example. I was talking to the TSA, and right now you need an ID, a photo ID, and a birth certificate, or something, or a passport, or something like that, to identify yourself. You can't use your social security card because that gets copied way too much. But in the next couple of years, your social security card will be on your phone. Your phone will be very secure, and it'll be tied to you to the point where this will become a form of ID, or two forms of ID, or whatever. Yeah. And next thing you know, you're using your phone to identify yourself. And of course, with the biometrics on here, I can put down my finger and poof, there's my fingerprint right there. Not in the exact same way as actually taking a fingerprint, but you put on VR, they see who you are. You put on you put your fingerprint sensor. You have your ID. You could possibly vote from home, and I think that's the coolest part on there. But getting back to the politicians, being able to track them, having them, kind of having that bond between you and your elected representative is going to be a lot different in the years to come, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and I think it's part of that whole technology connecting people, but just it's another aspect of technology that'll help with that.
Yeah, definitely. So, but definitely let us know what your thoughts are. You can always email us. You can always tweet us. I'll give you the phone number, 608-205-4378. That's the phone number for Geekazine. But you can always call that number and give your 2 cents worth, and we'll play it on the show. And go from there, and hopefully we'll excite some people out there, because I know that there's people out there that really do want to stare at a monitor and will stare at people's vitals and say, hey, you might want to go to the doctor, or I think you're lying on this. I don't, or this is how that works. And like I said, they do it with the facial expressions during a TV show, and I could see somebody doing that on a regular basis with Wearables. So
that's what I would challenge any of my opponents in the 2020 race, should there be any already.
I'm putting my hat in.
Oh, are you going to go up against me?
Yeah, I'm going to go up against you. So I think it's let's we'll have ourselves a good old fashioned election on Wearable today.
Okay. So I challenge you that we both wear heart rate monitors during the debates, so that way people can be monitoring our heart rate.
Okay.
So, and we'll have to just see, who stays cool under pressure, which I don't know. I don't know if that's me or you or whoever, but I think it'd be great information for, the public to have.
Is Birdie going to have a heart rate monitor too?
Birdie doesn't really like wearing a lot of,
that's a deal breaker.
Clothes,
not unless Birdie, Birdie's the one you gotta watch out for.
Well, Birdie is not my running mate. I mean,
she's your flying mate. Flying mate.
Oh yeah,
not running mate.
It would be great to take her on trips. Definitely be kind of a mascot. I do think we need a bird in the White House. I think it's time. I think we've had dogs and we've had cats, but I think it's time for there to be a bird in the White House.
Okay.
Because I'm not a speciesist. I'm not against any particular species. So I think it's time.
All right. Well, how about this? I won't run against you. I will be your running mate.
Ooh, now this is interesting. I would definitely consider you as one possible candidate.
Ouch. You're not going to say yes?
I don't want to commit to anything.
Fine, I'm running against you again.
You sure are flip-flopping a lot.
Well, you don't give me much choice.
I've been consistent since the beginning.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So, anyway, what are your thoughts? Luke, why don't you tell them how to get a hold of you if they want to vote for you?
Yeah, hashtag Luke 2020. You can find it all over Twitter. You can find me at Luke Luca there, LukeLuca on Twitter. Let me know how what I can do for you. I've been building a platform. Maybe we can discuss that at a later date.
You've been building a C3PO, and that's not a platform.
What?
You've been building a C3PO. That's not a platform.
No. I mean a political platform. It's not. It's not a physical thing. I'm building a physical C3PO. It's a robot thing.
You're not building a robot. You're building a case. Like an overpriced CD case is what you're building, except the CDs are you.
I don't like these political attack ads that you're putting together.
I'm going to tell you something. CP30 was a good friend of mine. Me and C3PO, we were like this. I'm over here. You, sir, are no C3PO.
Well, all I can do is do my best and hope that the public sees the value in that. So
Okay.
I will stick by that. I will stick by that. I may not be the best, but all I can be is my best.
All right. Well, now it's time for you guys to vote. If you want to vote for Luke, that would be 1-800-IDLE-1. And that's for Jeff, it's 1-800-IDLE-2. And of course, you can find Luca, and of course, you can find me over at Geekazine, Think Magazine, Put in a Geek, where your political contribution is great, and I appreciate that. Thank you. We will win. We will win this election. Or my name isn't Jeffrey Powers. That's my name. Yeah. See, not even Birdie wants to be part of this anymore. Let's move on. So, all right, Luke, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And of course, you'll be here next week, right?
That's the plan.
That's the plan. I'll be here next week. You'll be here next week. We'll all be here next week talking about wearable technology. That's the word. Yeah. And go from there. All right, you guys. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. If you've listened or if you watched or if you listened and watched at the same time, you're a multitasker. Thank you very much. We will see you next time on another episode of Wearable Today. Until then, you guys geek out and take care.